there will be many people watching this who will be thinking, there's the person who tried to stop Brexit, a democratic mandate to take Britain out of the European Union, the biggest plebiscite in British history. At that point, when the votes come in, because I voted Remain, but when the result came in, it's like, OK, we're out.
And I'm on record the day after saying we're all Brexiteers now.
Okay.
I'm actually on record saying that, because I do believe in democracy and I do believe in that.
You didn't act like it, though, did you? You didn't act like
Absolutely,
a Brexiteer.
I did. Because if we had left without abiding by the law, we would... I mean, you know, we're now... Look at where we are now, talking about government breaking international law. If they had just triggered Article 50, they would have been breaking international law. It was about parliamentary sovereignty, the very thing that people were talking about. And so Parliament had to have a say. And in the second case, it was exactly that, because Boris was putting himself above the law and trying to shut down Parliament. We don't have a direct democracy. We have a representative democracy. So things have to go in front of Parliament. And that was what I was fighting for because for me, the consequence of not doing that would have been worse than actually going through the pain and the abuse that I got.
Well, and by the way, the pain and the abuse is reprehensible, completely upsetting. And I'm really shocked by reading in further detail about what you've been through. And I think you're a remarkable human being. But I think that politically it was the wrong thing to do, to sue the government in this way, because if those, and you're arguably not one of them, but if those in Parliament who did want to thwart Brexit had their way, we would have faced not a constitutional or legal crisis, but a democratic one.
So there was nothing in the case. If anybody wants to go and read the case that I submitted and the judgment, there was nothing that we could do to stop Brexit. So, and actually, the timetable, we were very, very careful to make sure that the timetable fitted in to when Mrs May wanted to go to Parliament.
But it helped the opposition and opposition Remain parties to attempt to thwart Brexit. So you might not have set out to do that.
No, it was a vote. So it was a vote, and it was a vote that went through. That's all that it brought, was to say the Parliament couldn't be out of the process. That was simply what the case was doing. It was saying a Prime Minister on their own couldn't use prerogative powers to change our lives. And actually, looking where we are now, I would say it was probably a good thing that I confirmed that the Prime Minister just couldn't decide what was going to happen to us on a daily basis.
And here's another question for you. Did this, and I understand you sort of have a legal and constitutional point of view with regard to that action against the government, but we got a harder Brexit as a result, didn't we? Because Theresa May's withdrawal agreement was effectively involved being in a customs union. It would have been a softer Brexit. In the end, there is absolute stalemate in Parliament because Parliament just couldn't sign off this withdrawal agreement. We had an election. Boris gets a landslide because voters in the Red Wall think, look, we want to get Brexit done. And we got a far harder Brexit as a result.
That's not up to me. That's up to Parliament. All I did was make sure Parliament had their say.
As somebody that isn't overly keen on the principle of Brexit, you must regret that history has played out to give Britain a harder Brexit.
Absolutely not, because where we are now, if I hadn't done what I've done, we would be in a worse place we are now. We have to obey international law. We have to be part of a community globally where people can look at us and say, Britain is a country that respects the rule of law, does not go behind people's back, does not shut down courts, does not behave like a dictatorship. And that's actually what I preserved. And that's more important, actually, in the long term than what happens at the moment.
But if your legal action against the government had been successfully leveraged by Remainers, which they tried to do, to stop Brexit and have a second referendum, if that referendum was to stay, I fear for civil order in this country.
Well, so would I.
Far worse than breaking a few international laws.
Well, no, it isn't, because actually we live in a whole world.
A democratic crisis in this country could manifest itself in civil disobedience,
okay, I don't know
violence. I mean, I don't even want to go there, don't you think?
No, absolutely not at all. Because the thing is, think about I don't know which political party you vote for.
Do you know I've voted for all of them in my life?
Okay,
I'm a tart.
So
I might go free and fair. We're going to talk about your policy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've been pretty. I've voted for lots of different parties too. But the thing is, you cannot have people in power who do not abide by the law. That is a fundamental principle of how we operate as a country. It doesn't matter any more than that. That is the basic bottom truth, is that no Prime Minister can put themselves above the law. And that is what I will stand by for every day and all day and fight for. Our Prime Ministers cannot do that.